What's going on? So Bellroy recently launched the second iteration of their Transit Workpack, and at the same time, they rolled out the Transit Workpack Pro, which is the more feature-rich, slightly more travel-oriented version of the standard Workpack. So the Pro is $240, the standard one is $179, which is $20 more than the first version. Let's talk about what this one does better than this one, a few things I actually like more about the standard Workpack over the Pro version, and in what scenarios would it ultimately make sense to spend $60 more to get the Pro version. The TLDR is, if I was looking for a bag that was mainly an EDC office bag, I was driving to work or my commute involved a fairly short walk, I would go with this one. If I had a longer commute where I was carrying a decent amount of weight for longer periods of time, and or I also want to take the bag traveling with me, then this is the no-brainer option. And here's why. There's two things that the Pro does significantly better than the standard Workpack: comfort and organization. So from a comfort standpoint, if you look at the V1 of the Workpack, the straps were incredibly underwhelming. They were more of an afterthought. Same thing with the back padding. This new one is twice as comfortable in my opinion. You just have a lot more thickness in the foam. There's also more structure around the back padding. It's not as floppy. And then you also have this air channel in the middle where the luggage pass-through goes through. So with that being said, I wouldn't say comfort is a standout feature of the Workpack, but the Pro is insanely comfortable. I would say the V2 is like twice as comfortable as the V1, but if you walk around with a decent amount of weight, like what you would normally carry, like I carry laptop, water bottle, tablet, few essentials, like just with those things, after 30 minutes, your shoulders start hurting. Whereas with the Workpack Pro, this bag, well, it's like putting on a pair of New Balance 990 V6s for the first time. You feel just right at home. The sheer amount of padding, also the padding on the standard Transit Workpack it's responsive, but it's very firm. It doesn't have a lot of like squish factor to it. Whereas with this one, you can see if you compare the straps, there is significantly more padding. In terms of the straps, that dual density foam is stitched on in a way that it's gusseted. So there is no hard edge touching anywhere near your shoulders or your chest. In addition to it, from a breathability standpoint, you have this nice air mesh on this one where this is more of like a fabric that goes over the padding. And in addition to that, you get a sternum strap on the Pro, which you don't get on the standard Workpack. It's fit lock, magnetic buckle, really easy to put it on and off. But what I really like about their sternum strap, my hiking bag has the same mechanism, is that there is just a bit of piping here and you can just slide it up and down to micro adjusted depending on how much weight you have in it. Whereas most bags, it's a loop and there's a buckle and you have to take it out, put it in, and typically it's a set and forget it. You're not micro adjusting it very often. That does help a lot with the comfort. And then in terms of the strap, is the nylon webbing that they use for the straps on the Pro version is that really nice heavy duty airplane seatbelt material that also is very smooth. So that's nice because in terms of like adjusting the bag, it just glides really easily. Whereas on the standard Workpack, I really like that textured woven material that they use. It has a lot of personality to it, but it creates more friction, so it just doesn't slide as easily. It's not a huge deal, but yeah, this one is a more frictionless experience in that sense. So for the comfort alone, I would say the $60 is absolutely worthwhile the investment if comfort is a priority for you. This bag, again, it's not uncomfortable, but if you're gonna want something that you're gonna enjoy having on your back for extended periods of time, then the Workpack Pro is the way to go. Beyond comfort, the other thing that I think is a big improvement with the Pro over the standard one is in terms of organization. Now, Bellroy did something interesting that's a little frustrating from a customer standpoint, to be honest. I understand why they did it, just to create a bigger gap from a product differentiation standpoint to make it a little more attractive to go for the premium version. But there were two pockets that the standard Workpack had that they removed from the version 2, and then they have a version of them essentially on the Pro. So on the V1, One of my favorite pockets just ever in a bag. They have this stretch mesh canopy for your sunglasses. And I feel like most bags don't have a dedicated sunglass compartment. It's something like most people carry. I really appreciate a dedicated, well-protected area for my sunglasses where I can also easily access them. So the big difference that you see from an organization standpoint is really how they treat the front pocket. If you look at the standard Workpack, they have really just a stash pocket that has a key clip on it. And then from an organization standpoint, within that pocket, you only have a dual pen sleeve here in the corner, which V1 had, but on V1, you also had like individual sleeves for smaller things, AirPods, things like that, which you don't get in this one. The size of the pocket itself is, I wouldn't say it's tight, like it's a decent bit, but it's kind of like an awkward entrance. So if you get AirPod Maxes, they won't fit in there. I would assume, like, just to give you an idea, like, yeah, maybe smaller over the ear headphones would fit, but what does fit really nicely is this is a 1 liter tech pouch, the Peak Design one. And it fits like really comfortably. Like you can get in and out of it pretty easily. Because this bag is kind of already semi bare bones from an organization standpoint, I would definitely pair it with a tech pouch where you can micro organize your smaller things. The other pocket that they removed from the version 1 is one of the side access pockets. So it's on the back of the bag. They use one for a water bottle pocket, and then the other one is with the key lock and just a place that you can put more valuable stuff, right? That's less accessible for thieves or whatever. But that one I don't care about as much. The way it translates to the Pro version is in their front admin panel. So you have a mesh material. It is not really stretchy at all, but you have one big square pocket here for passports. You can put like 4 or 5 passports in here, a power bank, and then you have 2 pen sleeves. But what I really like about this pocket is that you have nice volume. It's much easier to get into than this front pocket, and AirPod Maxes fit perfectly in here. As you can see, even the top part doesn't get in the way at all of any of this or where the sunglass pouch is. And then the pouch itself is now integrated into the admin panel rather than it being its own dedicated pocket. And it fits obviously like standard sunglasses, but if you have bigger, like those big Oakley type sunglasses that you might use for sports that aren't as slim in profile, they also fit super comfortably in there. And then they use that wonderful, almost like neoprene-like stretch mesh. And then the side access pocket that you don't get in the standard Workpack. So here, this is where they put their key clip. And then you have like a decent bit of space. It's not the most comfortable pocket to get your hand in and out of, but it is just like a nice extra secure place to stash your things. But I feel like this one's not really a deal breaker. It's one of those pockets that I like to have, but that I really don't end up utilizing that much. Now, even though I find that this bag is more comfortable, is overall better from an organization standpoint, there's a few things that I actually like a lot more about this bag. It's frustrating that having to spend more money, but still having to compromise on certain things makes the decision a bit of a dilemma. But yeah, the 3 main things are the water bottle holder I prefer on this one. There is a stretch mesh sleeve that I'll show you right now that you don't get on the Pro version. And then just the material itself, I actually prefer the standard Workpack material. The water bottle holder on the Pro is a concealed zippered pocket. Now, Able Carry does this, a few other brands do this, but I feel like the execution on this one was not as good because it's pretty hard to get into. My golden standard of measurement, just a 24 ounce wallet. In my opinion, unless you're carrying coffee, it's just not water. Carrying anything smaller than this from a water bottle standpoint, at that point, I'll just have like a 1 liter Zephyr Hills. As you can see, like right now, the bag is empty. Getting the water bottle in to where it's like secure in there is not easy. But yeah, it's definitely a very cumbersome experience getting in and out of the water bottle holder. If you carry something smaller, this is a 20 ounce water bottle that does fit in there fairly easily ish, and it still like won't easily zip all the way, which you wouldn't need to, but it would just drive me a little crazy. It's like, what's the point of it anyways? But if you compare it to the standard work pack, there is no elasticity on their water bottle holder, which is a bit of a bummer, but at the same time, like, this is the Walla 24 ounces and it goes in and out like really easily, right? Like, you can do it one-handed. That's the nice thing about not having elastic. Sometimes you just have to like pull it back. As far as like security, like, that seems pretty secure. If you're carrying something smaller, like a 20 ounce, yeah, it goes in pretty nicely, but it wants to slide out a little bit. 32 ounce won't fit in there. Yeah, it won't fit in here. So that's one. Secondly, on the inside of both the V1 and the V2, you get a nice stretch mesh sleeve, which is perfect for a tablet, folder, books, things like that. On the V1, you also had it, but they added on to V2 this little pouch on the side of it. So if you want to throw in socks, umbrella, perfect place for an umbrella, even though I don't travel with one, that is something that you can use it for. Now with the Pro version, to make it a little bit more travel oriented, you've got compression straps, like elastic compression straps with the same fidlock magnetic buckle that you get in the front. So even though I like that they included it, if I was to choose between one or the other, I would much rather have the stretch mesh sleeve, but I do think they could have incorporated both, having the sleeve behind this, because now if I want to put in my tablet with my laptop, I just end up putting it in this bag, both in the dedicated laptop compartment, but they're touching, it's not like ideal. Whereas here, I would put the tablet here for sure. And then the last thing that I really like about this one is the fabric. On the Pro, the fabric is also really, really nice. And it doesn't necessarily feel that it's a downgrade from this fabric. I think actually a lot of people are gonna prefer this fabric. It has a little bit of a sheen to it. It's much more fine woven, so it's softer, it's much smoother. It does attract little particles and hair a lot more than this material. But on the Bellroy website, they call both materials the same exact thing, which is the recycled Dura nylon. And they list out the composition as exactly the same. It's actually 80% recycled polyester. I don't know why they call it Dura nylon. And then it's a blend of polyester, nylon, and then a few other things. But they feel and look drastically different. What I love about the material in this one, and I have their Venture Ready sling that comes in this material, and is honestly one of my favorite materials on earth, is even though these are both synthetic materials, this one feels synthetic, right? Like if you close your eyes and you touch it, you're like, yep, that feels like a performance fabric. Whereas this one feels so much more natural. It feels like canvas. It has that grittiness that is both rough, but also feels good and smooth. It's hard to explain. I don't know if it's just me, but there are certain materials like leather, wax canvas, that makes me just want to like beat them up, give them personality. Like I have no problem just throwing this anywhere, just because it feels rough and it feels like any scuff that it gets is only gonna give it more personality. Whereas a material like this, I feel like psychologically I would hesitate before like putting it on the floor in the street, whereas this one I wouldn't even think about it twice. This is the kind of material that you want to keep nice and clean. Wow, the bag is actually standing on its own. Amazing. But yeah, I do find that if you're looking at them side by side, this one looks fancier, and then this one looks a little bit more rugged, but it just has a lot more personality. If you felt this, you'd be like, yeah, that feels good. If you felt this, you'd be like, wow, that feels good, but that feels like very different. Absolutely love this fabric. And Bellroy kills it, not only with fabrics, but with their color selection. Like a lot of my favorite bag brands are so boring when it comes to colors. Like here's your black and standard gray, and like we're gonna mix it up and we're gonna do something crazy, and we're gonna give you like olive with an orange interior, and which is like cool. But In person, this Harvest like copper color, it looks a lot more orangish, I've found, when you take a picture or a video of it, but it is a more muted, earthy color. It's like this perfect blend of clay and mustard. And then on the inside of the bag, you get this freaking beautiful, stunning terracotta color that just pairs super nicely. These zippers are like a deep purple, so the contrast with that and the copper Harvest color that they're using on the bag is great. If you're into colors as well, the Workpack Pro comes in black, olive, and stone, all of which the standard Workpack come in, but this Harvest color only comes in the standard one. And you also get Nightsky, which is this refined dark navy blue color, which you do not get in this one as well. One other thing to call out is that they've incorporated luggage pass-throughs in both of these bags, which V1 didn't. And they're both pretty similar. They have this awesome like pulley retractable mechanism, so it gives you a little bit of give, but I do find that on the standard Workpack, it just works better. The elastic, you get this like tactile feedback as it's being pulled back, whereas on the standard one, it's very minimal how little it pulls out, but it still works better than most luggage pass-throughs that are in this orientation. I think regardless of whichever one you get, there's one thing that at their price point, Bellroy does really well. If you compare it to similar size bags from brands like Air, Alpaca, Able Carry, those are brands that are more techie looking, where you have Evergoods or GoRuck, slightly more expensive, that are more utilitarian, tactical-ish. But if you want a bag that is both fancy but casual at the same time, something that you can dress up or dress down. I see it as this like modern executive bag. Back in the day, it was like you have the businessman walks into the office, he's got the Toomey Alpha Bravo, but it's like a big statement piece. There's something more effortlessly cool and yet stylish about how Bellroy does bags. And I think on both of them, they are very stylish. But the fact that you get this front admin pocket and the material on this one, aesthetically, I find that this is the slightly more technical one. I'm doing a separate video that compares the version 1 and version 2 of this one. And if you want to take a more in-depth look at the inside of the standard Workpack, then watch that video instead. But I already showed you the side access pocket that you have here, as well as the concealed water bottle holder. Already showed you that front admin panel. So let's get into the inside of the bag. So you got clamshell opening. The inner liner, really cool teal color that they use, and the nylon itself, this ripstop is super duper smooth, which I really like. And then the only main compartment organization that you get in this one is this pocket here. They use this like coiled mesh fabric that is see-through, so you can see what you got in there. I love these Bellroy shrunk wrapped zipper pulls. I wish they used them on all of them, but I do prefer on the standard Workpack the fact that they use the same stretch mesh material that they use on the sleeve. Here, I just feel like as you're getting your hand into it, just feels nicer than this more rigid material. And then the one other pocket that we're missing is the laptop compartment. You have this awesome clamshell opening, like stash pocket on the top part. What I like about it is that you don't have to get into another zippered pocket once you get into this. So you can throw your laptop charger, just big things that maybe you don't have to worry too much about sliding out, because I did put my AirPods in there, and then a few times I like went to take them out and they had moved based on how the bag had been elsewhere, or just they slid out. But I would have liked within this just having a few little sleeves that I could put smaller things and keep them secure but still easily accessible. And then you've got your laptop compartment here. Fits up to a 16-inch laptop. Again, because you don't have a dedicated place for a tablet, I would just put it here. You can fit a laptop and a tablet, assuming the laptop's not super thick. You could even fit 2 laptops in here in the same compartment. I know some people like to do that as well. So is it worth $60 more than this one? I think it really boils down to how much you prioritize comfort and functionality. From a stylish perspective, I do think that this one just looks a lot cooler because of the material. The straps themselves have a more minimal profile. They don't look like these chunky hiking type straps. So this is definitely more refined in that sense. And it's got a functional water bottle pocket, whereas this one will probably drive you a little bit crazy. But all things considered, the two bags look pretty similar. And you're just gonna have a more versatile bag in the Pro in the sense that it's more comfortable, you can take it more places, and you get a little bit more organization. Whereas with the standard one, you're gonna be left wanting maybe a few more small pockets for small things. There is something though very refreshing about the simplicity, the minimalism in the design. It doesn't overwhelm you with too many pockets. So for me, I really, in retrospect, with just a tech pouch and whatever I've got in there, how I'm packing it, I think it works just fine. So ultimately, if I could have the Pro, but have it with this water bottle holder and in this material, in this color, that would be an insane bag for me. It would replace my current EDC bag. This one comes close to it. But yeah, the water bottle holder and the lack of the sleeve are little nitpicks that are sufficient enough that it wouldn't replace my current EDC one. Whereas with this one, at its price point, it wouldn't replace it. But yeah, it's such a cool bag that I would just keep it as part of the collection, something I could rotate, even though I like to have like my one go-to for all of those things. This is just such an awesome bag. Beyond these two options, some other good ones outside of Bellroy are the Alpaca Elements Pro, the Air City Pack Pro, the Able Carry Daily Plus, and the Evergood CTB 20. But other than that, yeah, best of luck. Cheers.